Awesome. All right. Okay, so it's 4 p.m. here, 11 and 8. Thank you all so much for joining. Yeah, we are recording this first webinar, so hope everything goes smoothly. Yeah, if there's questions or anything, um, yeah, just let me know. Drop it in the Q&A. I'm gonna just, we have an hour for this. I'll probably just, kind of start by going through the basics of Rize, what's changed in Rize 2.0, kind of walking through some of the productivity features, and then also a lot of these like time entry features, time entry suggestions, how to track projects, clients, and tasks, and all these new workspace features, which are great for, teams and agencies if you want to track visibility, team visibility, as well as client, project, and tasks. Yeah, before I dive in, just want to thank everybody so much again for using Rize and for joining today. It means so much to us. We're a small team and we're working every day to make the product better. So all right. So I'm gonna start by just sharing my screen, and this will really be like more product focused because I really want to make sure that we go through all of the ways that Rize works. And yeah, again, if there's any questions, just drop them in the Q&A. Thank you, Michael, for joining. Really appreciate it. Okay. Can everyone see the Q&A questions? I hope so. All right. Okay, so in terms of introductions, yeah, my name is McGill. I'm co-founder and CEO of Rize. Yeah, and basically at a high level, what is Rize? Well, as you guys know, probably Rize is an automated time tracker, and what our mission is really just to fully automate time tracking. So we always say like we know that time tracking is kind of terrible, especially when you have to do it manually, but it's so important. Time is, our most valuable asset, whether we're billing clients or just, working on a product or working on a company. It's really important. And, there's the saying, what gets tracked gets managed. And you really can't improve if you don't know, how you're spending your time. So that's really, our goal is just to make the best time tracker out there. And we know we have a long way to go, but we're working and improving every day on that. So I'm going to start with how Rize works at the very basic level. And then I'm going to talk a lot about the new features around time entries, time entry suggestions. And then I'm also going to cover, again, some of these like productivity metrics like focus time, meeting time, categories, how those are generated. It's going to be sort of far reaching. But again, for people who are just joining, because I know some more people are coming in now, feel free to drop questions or anything in the chat, in the Q&A. Okay, okay, awesome. All right, so first and foremost, how does Rize work? Well, Rize is a Mac OS and a Windows app, and we're an automated time tracker. So we are we're a very privacy first automated time tracker in that Rize will just track the active window on the screen. So you can have 10 monitors open, but there's always just going to be one active window. And what we do is we never take screenshots. We actually never track the content of the window. We only track the metadata of that window. So the metadata includes things like app name, URL, and window title. If you want to see like a live view of your activity, you can go to activity and go to event log, and you'll see exactly those events coming in and what's tracked. From there, what we do is that data gets basically compiled into what we call your activity. And your activity is what's listed in this first column here. Activity is basically when you are active on a computer. What we do for each of those time for those tracking events, those 15-second increments that we track, we also auto categorize those using AI. In the activity, you're going to see these activity blocks, and you can hover over them to see details. They're going to have your categories at top, apps and websites. If you click on them and you click view, you'll actually see a more in-depth view of that activity as well. And then for each app and website, you can change the category here by clicking just on this drop down here. You can update that category. You can create a new one. You can exclude it from tracking. And then you can choose to change and create a rule moving forward, which means it's going to change all of my time in Rize staging now and any future time. Or you can change for this time period only, which is essentially like an override. And so your categories and apps and websites, this is basically high level of like your raw activity. These categories are important because they're used in productivity metrics, but they're mostly fully like AI, generated by AI. They're completely customizable, but they're used sort of to show how you work. Because with Rize, we have two real pillars in time tracking. One of them is showing how you worked. That's going to be those productivity metrics and giving you nudges on how you can work more healthy and and more productively, especially with focus. And then the second pillar is around what you worked on, and that's more about what appears in this time entries column. So like Rize will both help you show how you worked, whether it was productive or not, and give you nudges to improve that. And then we'll also show you what you worked on, which is like that work output. So from these these like big activity blocks, right? Rize will then do two things, and we'll move to this time entries column. The two things that Rize does with one of these blocks is first, it's going to chunk that block based on what it identifies as similar types of work. And then it's going to annotate each of those blocks. So those are called time entry suggestions. So as you can see, I have a time entry suggestion here. I can hover over it for those quick actions. And each time entry suggestion comes with a title and a description. Again, these are fully AI generated. And then additionally, each of those will come with with client project and task suggestions. You can see one here. This is for a new task. Or I can choose an existing task from one of these, a task, project, or client from one of the dropdowns. These are going to be scoped by your workspace. So if you have multiple workspaces, you can change the workspace there. And that's going to change which clients, projects, and tasks are available, because clients, projects, and tasks always exist within a workspace. And we'll get into workspaces a little bit later. So with each time entry suggestion, there's also a bunch of, this is the quick pop-up. So there's a bunch of quick actions you can take. So first, if I want to see the activity here, I can see top titles, apps, and websites. Then I have some quick actions I can take here as well. The one is to merge with the previous neighbor. This is great for like really small time entries that you just want to merge with, what you were doing previously. Another option is to split this time entry suggestion. So let's say Rize gives me a big hour block with one time entry suggestion, but I actually want to split it into smaller chunks. I can click that. And then I can also regenerate that suggestion by clicking this, which will refresh the description and the title. In this case, I am going to actually create a new task, which is presented. So if I do that, it's going to create this new task. I can assign a project, and we'll get more into clients, projects, and tasks in a bit. I just want to, quickly walk through this. You can choose an assignee from that workspace. If you don't, it will default to yourself. So I create that task. Now, what I can do is choose that task. And you can see when I choose that task, it auto-populates the clients, projects, and tasks here. And if I want to approve that task, then I can just hit accept enter. Once I hit accept enter, a few things happen. So that time entry is created. It's shared with the workspace. And if this task associated with it is a ClickUp task, that time is going to be shared as a time entry in ClickUp as well. I do see, Clint, that like there's some questions around ClickUp, so I'll be sure to cover exactly how ClickUp works as well a little bit later on. But for now, yeah, still going to be going over the main sort of how you use Rize day to day. So that's a great way of how you can use Rize to tag time if you're checking it throughout the day. I also want to call out this review time entries inbox. So when you have pending time entries, you'll see this button here. Now, if I click there, this is the inbox. So we've built this so essentially so that you can kind of fly through reviewing your time. The concept here is like almost like an email inbox, right? So here you'll have the pending time entries on the left. You can also view it in a timeline view. And then this is all connected with shortcuts. So I can do like Command Shift T if I want to do that. Command Shift P. There are a bunch of quick actions. And then on the right side is going to be your context panel to help you figure out what you were working on. So you can see the live events here as well as an overview, which is really nice. This one, I'm actually just going to merge with the previous. So if I do that, I'm all set, and yeah, inbox is all taken care of. That is, time entries, and we're going to then get into workspaces and how that gets, how you create a workspace, how you add clients, projects, and tasks. But I also want to talk about some of the customization here. So if I click right here, this button here, I can toggle specific columns. So if I want to add tasks, projects to this view, I can do that here, which is really nice, especially if you're using a bigger screen. I can also expand the sessions column, which I'm going to do because we're going to talk about sessions next. I can also zoom in, zoom out. If you want to zoom as well, you can press Command or Control and scroll in and out, and that will also zoom your timeline. The other thing is you can change your default range here too, if you want it to be a little more zoomed. And when you load up the app each day, what window is going to be the default showing. So that's super high level on, time entries. And yeah, we'll get more into those a little bit later. But the next sort of aspect of Rize that I wanted to show is sessions. So sessions are essentially, this is a productivity metric, and it's one of these really awesome features of Rize. Sessions come in three flavors. They're basically focus, break, or meeting. And these are determined mostly by the categories. And so I'll show some of the category settings that you can use, but Rize will automatically detect when you're focused if you spend enough time basically in focus categories. You can also start and stop sessions from the session timer, or from this quick, Command F will bring up the focus modal, where you can set a duration. You can choose a task, project, or client, a goal for that. And then you can also set music, which is really cool for like lo-fi beats, super popular. We have some exciting music changes coming soon as well. So sessions are really built on this concept of deep work, book by Cal Newport. You're really just going to want to see how much time you're spending in focus meetings and breaks. We have a lot of productivity features that kind of give you nudges throughout the day, but I can talk a little about those, but basically these different types of sessions will show you when you're, in shallow work, in focus work, taking breaks, or collaborating. Each focus session comes with a quality score and a bunch of really cool metrics like focus time. It's going to show you your top interrupters. Additionally, if you've enabled it, you will get a distraction blocker pop up if you're in a focus session and you start going off track. So I'll talk a bit about the distraction blocker in a little bit. The last column here is your calendar. Calendar, we integrate with Google and Outlook. And calendar is how you kind of create meeting sessions. You can pull in focus sessions from your calendar as well. You do a lot of really cool stuff there. So now let's just get into the daily summary. So what is shown in the daily summary? So the big one here is work hours. That's another productivity metric. Rize is going to automatically detect how many hours you are actually working on the computer. And you can set these targets for work hours. And as you work towards that target throughout the day, you'll get a notification when you've hit 50%, 100%. And once you start going, for every 20% over the work hours you get, you'll get an overworking notification. That's just a way that we kind of keep nudging you to work more productively. You'll also see the clients, projects, and tasks breakdown here. This home view is it's a great view for seeing your stats from a high level as an individual. I can go to, the week. And when I go to the week, I can see my work hours, target for the week, average per day, focus percent, bunch of cool stuff here as well. So but basically I would say, yeah, this is high level going over through these features. I'm going to now talk a little bit about just how to tweak some of the productivity features, just so that you know. So first one is around focus time. How do you get focus time more accurate? Well, if you go to settings and you go to categories, you'll see that all of your categories are listed here. And categories have 4 different attributes: focus, work, idle detection, and distraction blocker. Focus is basically, should Rize AI consider this category a focus category? If this is enabled, when you spend time in apps or websites of that category, Rize is going to think that that's more focused. So it's going to affect your focus quality score. It's going to affect when Rize auto detects when you're focused, and it will also not show the distraction blocker for those apps or websites if you're in a focus mode. So like email for me is not a focus mode, but if you're seeing the distraction blocker pop up a lot in email and you do consider email focus, you can toggle that on. Now, the next one is the work category. This is how we sort of calculate your work hours. And so you're going to want to enable that just for categories that you consider work. So for example, entertainment is disabled there. Idle detection. So idle is when you stop using the app or website for, sorry, when you basically, there's no mouse movements or keyboard inputs for like more than 5 minutes, Rize is going to stop tracking. Now we want this for basically everything except in certain cases. So for example, entertainment, gaming, meetings is another one. Why do you want that? Because when we're in a meeting, probably like this, you will often go idle, but that doesn't mean you want Rize to stop tracking. So if you see Rize tracking too much or pausing tracking when it shouldn't, it's related to this idle detection. And the last one is distraction blocker. So this is sort of like focus, but this just means like, will it trigger the distraction blocker if you're using an app or website and you're in a focus category by default? You can go to the distraction blocker, you can disable it. You can view the categories here. This is the threshold for how long you need to be in a non-focus or not a distraction blocking category before you see that blocker. So you can set it as short as 15 seconds. We also have urge surfing, which like forces you to wait 10 seconds before you can dismiss the pop-up, which can be helpful if you just get into the habit of dismissing it all the time. The other quick productivity feature is around work hours that I wanted to show you guys. So that is under activity. So as I mentioned, each day you can set a work hours target. You can customize that. If you want to change a specific day, so that's going to set for all like Mondays, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursdays. But let's say one day you want to set a lower one, go to your home view, click the settings here, and you can set a specific work hours target just for that day. So maybe I'll set this for 8 today. You can see it automatically updates. The other aspect, what was that? Oh yeah, I wanted to also just call attention while we were in activity to the automatic tracking schedule. So Rize will automatically start and pause tracking on this schedule. So I run from like 7 to 7 normally. If you want Rize to track 24/7, just disable all these days. And then Rize will always track unless you manually pause it. Just keep in mind, if this is all disabled, if you pause Rize, we will never restart tracking unless you manually restart it. Okay, does anyone have any questions? I see there's some questions around, before I get into the workspace stuff, I see there's some questions around ClickUp and small chunks. Yeah, okay, that's a great question around, I'll get into that as well. Any other, okay. Andrew, that's great with PTO. Yeah. Okay, so yeah, I'm sorry, I'm just reading all these questions. Okay, so I'm going to start first with Samantha's question around small chunks of time entries. So yeah, right now, Rize actually will generate quite small chunks of time entries, and there's a few ways you can go about that. We actually just released this setting today. So if you go to your settings for time entries, there's now two settings. One is the ideal time entry suggested duration, which should be around 15 minutes. You can change that if you want it smaller. The other one that we just released is now minimum time entry minutes. So this now is a strict limit, Samantha. So if you set this to 1 minute or 5 minutes, any time entry suggestion that's smaller, like any block that's less than that, is just going to get discarded. So you won't have to approve those at all, which can be kind of nice. PTO, yes, this is a good one. So right now with PTO, we do check the calendar. If you have a calendar event that is PTO or OOO, we will mark that day as PTO. So if you go in there, you can you can also manually toggle a day as PTO. But if a calendar event if you have an all-day calendar event with PTO in the calendar, this will automatically get set from that. So one way to do that is if you're taking like multiple weeks off, you can just set a PTO calendar event for that whole block. And then all of those days will get marked as PTO. What does PTO mean? Basically means that we'll still track. It's just that PTO days will not get included in work hour calculations. Samantha asked around if she set auto tracking from midnight to 11:59. We recommend not actually doing that. So it basically, if you wanted to track 24/7, just disable all of them. That's generally what we recommend. Yeah, so Samantha mentioned around not discarding small chunks but merge into others. So technically Rize should do that, but let me know if you're running into issues with that, Samantha. You can also do the merge, like I mentioned. You can merge up with a previous time entry if it's very small. I do that sometimes. Okay. Clint, I see your question around ClickUp, and we'll get into that soon. So I just want to make sure I cover this. Okay, this is a great question from Timothy around tracking time where you're not on the computer. We are going to be improving this quite a bit. We definitely have plans for a mobile app, so I'll keep you guys posted. But for offline time, what we recommend is just dragging and dropping and manually creating a time entry. So you can just really easily head in, click add time entry, select the task, project, or client, or not even. You can just add a description and then hit save. That's how we recommend manually. I know it's not ideal because we're all about automation, but we have some more improvements coming there soon. But that's what we recommend for now. Okay. Andrew, we'll definitely cover reporting. So, okay, Christy, around categorizing activities. So categories, yeah, honestly, we recommend categories should sort of they should be types of work. So really high level, things like email, email, video conferencing. I wouldn't get too hung up on categories. They shouldn't be very specific. Like generally what we say is if there is an end date if the concept of an end date applies, it's not really a category, it's probably a task. So like an end date, there's a meeting or a project has an end date or a certain task has an end date, but email unfortunately never has an end date, or like video conferencing. That is more of a category, and those should just be really broad because they're really just high level, like what you were working on from a productivity metric standpoint. So definitely don't get hung up too much on that. The AI does a pretty good job. If something just seems really off, you can update it. But yeah, would definitely not worry too much about that. Yeah, and so in-person meetings, that's another one. So Rize will create in-person meetings for calendar events with 2+ attendees as long as they fall during your activity block. So if you go to meetings, you can go and maybe this, I think this is, sorry, we have, oh, sorry, it's under calendars. For specific integrations, you can enable offline meeting creation. And basically Rize will create a meeting for that, whether you're offline, if there's no events during that time. So that's what you can do for in-person meetings. So another question is around clients, project, and task. Can we have tasks associated to more than one project and more than one client? So yes, and I'll get into that once we get into um, like I will get into how you can associate clients project to task and how you can do them more generally once we get into the work uh, what's it called? Once we get into the workspace a little bit. All right, I'm gonna pause the questions for a little bit and go through these again because I want to just jump into workspaces and how those work. So we've covered, home, timer as well. It's pretty straightforward. You can start and stop focus sessions. The activity space here is where you're going to be able to see all of your activity and categories. You can zoom out by dragging down. Um, this is going to give you a high level overview of your apps and websites and activity as well. You can see this by like a week, month, year level and make changes here too. But then I'm going to get into workspaces. So workspaces are essentially where you can show what you're working on and share that across with different team members. And it's also where you will be able to track things like billable hours, profitability. There's really two main use cases for workspaces, which is visibility and billing profitability. So in a workspace, if I go to the workspace, you'll see the overview here. This is actually the Rize team. So the day overview is going to show by team member. It will have the assigning client project task filters, and I can filter really easily by any of those metrics. Each of my work blocks will also be visible there for team members that have shared there, and you can hover over them. Rize will not show, it will only show approved time entries here, but you will be able to see that if there's pending time tracked. One new setting that we just released is for team members who have set this workspace as their default workspace, you can enable automatic approval within 24 hours. That's a really good way to just like make sure that team members are taking the time just to review their time entries and sharing them beforehand. If not, you'll still get that accurate reporting at a team level within that period. In the overview, you get the day. We also have this really nice week view. We have some big updates coming here too, but from a high level, you'll be able to see time spent, billable amount, billable time, non-billable time, and billing rates for this range. You can see the breakdown by member, by client, by project. And then for each of these, we also have a timetable here too, where you can also filter by client too, which is pretty cool. But for each of these, for each of these clients, projects, and tasks in a workspace, you can drill down and get specific reports for each of these. So if I wanted to see just my own reporting, I can see this is my reporting for this week. And it's really cool because I'm going to see all of the time entries that I've reported, as well as these high level metrics here. We have a lot of cool updates coming. I see like profitability. Yeah, this is actually gated. We're not releasing it quite yet, but it will be coming soon. So I'm very excited to release that probably next week. But in the meantime, I want to just talk about clients. So clients, projects, and tasks, the way that these work in Rize, they have a hierarchy. So you can create clients, you can tag more. Each client has a name and keywords. This also applies to projects and tasks as well. Keywords are essentially indicators for Rize AI that you're working on a specific client or project. So they help automate on tracking in Rize. So if I have a client like client Y, let's say, I can add keywords, which can be the name of the client. It could be like even a website. It could be any sort of keyword. And basically what those keywords do is Rize, when it's looking through the activity and it's creating the time entry suggestions with those client projects and task suggestions, these keywords are going to be really helpful in making sure that those are accurate. If Rize sees enough keywords in a time entry suggestion, it's going to automatically tag it with that client project or task. That's really cool. So that's one way that you can use keywords. When you edit a client, you'll see the keywords here. And if you click this expand button, you can actually get really advanced with the keywords. So you can add specific keywords or have keywords for specific fields. And then this shared button means that these keywords are shared with the whole team. So that's really nice. If you can share these keywords with the whole team, it means everyone gets the setup. If you want to create keywords just for yourself, just unclick that share button. Yeah, clients also have hourly rates, and I want to talk about billing in a little bit. We have a lot of big billing changes coming soon. So soon you'll be able to set retainers, monthly retainers for clients in addition to in place of an hourly rate. But right now with billing, you can basically choose an hourly rate for a client, or you can choose hourly rates for your team members, which I'll talk about in a little bit. So really quick, clients have the reports, like I mentioned. You can choose a report for a client, get this really great breakdown of the time entries. And then for each of these reports, you can actually export these to CSV or PDF. And the PDFs are really beautiful. We have a lot of users who actually use these as like invoicing for clients. It makes you look really good because they see exactly the time spent for each bit of time with the auto description. It makes you look really on top of your game. Projects are very similar to clients, except they can belong to clients. So when you create a project, you can assign it a client. What does that do? So when you assign a project to a client, basically what it does is it says that when you are, it creates that hierarchy. So if I choose a project with a client like this one, it's going to auto-populate that client there. Now, when I create that time entry, I can choose to remove that client, and that time's not counted there. So you can create more generic clients, projects, or tasks and just associate them that way. But these relationships, like tasks that belong to projects, they will automatically populate those fields. Okay, so I see, Michael, you raise your hand. Do you want to drop a question in the chat? Okay, so clients, projects, and tasks, that's really how it works. I want to just talk about tasks, and then I'm also going to quickly talk about, well, let me talk about members first, and then I'm also going to talk about integrations with linear and ClickUp. And I know that doesn't apply to everyone, but I can run through it pretty quickly. So tasks at a team level, really similar to clients and projects, except they can belong to a project, and you can assign them to a specific team member. When you assign them to a specific team member, that task is going to show up in time entry suggestions and in the time entry dropdown if it's assigned to them. If I unclick assign to me, I can see all tasks. I can also clear the in progress filter to see all closed open tasks across the whole team. So yeah, tasks are a great way to actually like assign work within Rize, and they're how we integrate with a bunch of different platforms like Linear and ClickUp, and a lot more coming too, which is exciting. You can click on a task and see the breakdown by month, week, or year. And then for each task, they also have a status. So how do you set up workspaces with team members? You just can go to settings of the workspace. You can add team members here. Here, you'll also see that we have a few different fields. So we have hourly rate, we have cost rate, which is brand new. That's going to be going into profitability, which we'll be sharing next week. You can set the currency. Billing rate strategy, which is basically saying bill my hourly rate by clients or by team members. We do have some changes here that we'll be releasing next week. You can also set the time zone, and you can also choose the icon for your workspace here. So yeah, that's sort of team member settings at a high level. But basically the goal here is just fully automating time, for your agency, for your team, to get visibility and to get billing. So if I set these hourly rates, and I'm using hourly, like team member billing for each time entry that's associated with the team, it's gonna, allocate that much of billable time. If I do it by client, it's gonna pull the hourly rate from the client. Also for billing on projects, you can actually edit the project and have a specific hourly rate that overrides the client hourly rate. Okay, so that is high level basically of how workspaces work. I'm just going to quickly talk about ClickUp integration because I know I think it was Clint mentioned that, and that's been a big use case. So workspaces work really, really well with integrations. We right now have 2 task tracker integrations we are about to be building a lot more. So linear is one. Basically, the way that the linear integration works is you can connect a linear team with a Rize workspace, and you can import the team members. And Rize is basically going to pull in those clients and projects or issues from linear and create tasks and projects in Rize from those. It's going to assign them based on the email. So it's really important that the emails in Rize match the emails in your linear or ClickUp workspace. Now, ClickUp is a little more it's a little more advanced, a little more customizable because there's a little more you can do right now. So in ClickUp, you can integrate with as many ClickUp integrations as you want. They exist at the org level. When you integrate with ClickUp, there's a couple things to really keep in mind. So first off, make sure the emails in ClickUp match the emails that you're using in Rize personally and in the workspace, because again, that's how the tasks get assigned. So Clint, you were saying that like the tasks aren't showing up. If you're in this like time entry, you're looking for tasks and you're looking at ClickUp tasks, right? And you're not seeing any. There's two things that could be going on. It's either the email of your Rize team and your Rize account doesn't match the email in ClickUp, so those tasks aren't getting assigned to you. Another thing is that you're just looking at the wrong workspace. So make sure that the workspace filter is selected correctly. And if you have any issues with that, then like definitely shoot me a message, because it could be that, yeah, okay, it was a mismatch email. Yeah, we need to do a better job of like making that clear. But yeah, that's the key. Those emails need to match because that's how we associate them. In ClickUp, we have really like, I think we have probably the best automatic time tracking integration with ClickUp. So a couple other really cool things. When you select a ClickUp workspace, so I have 2 workspaces I've integrated, you choose which Rize workspace to sync tasks into. The other, so that's like this Rize ClickUp team. The other thing is you can choose the sync configuration for that workspace. So we have a bunch of customized options here. So you can sync folders as clients, lists as projects, spaces as clients, lists as projects, spaces as clients, lists as folders, just tasks, or folders as projects. This is really cool because ClickUp is so flexible that people have a bunch of different setups, and we should be able to support it here. Additionally, under that, you're going to see filters. These are the ClickUp workspaces, right? That, ClickUp spaces in that workspace, folders and lists. You can choose to just like basically import specific tasks, clients, projects from these. So if I uncheck these, then it won't import any tasks from backend team. Unless I just want it from this list, for example. So again, super customizable here. Once that's all set up, yeah, the task should just sync. And what's really cool with ClickUp too is when I create a time entry in Rize, once I hit save, you can see some of the fields in time entry. So if I was to select like a ClickUp task, I can choose billable or non-billable, and I can also generate a description. And basically, it's going to sync all of those values. And what's really cool too is in ClickUp, if I start a timer in ClickUp for a time entry and stop, we will sync that time entry into Rize as well. So yeah, those ClickUp integration is awesome. Linear integration is great. We have some improvements coming there, and then we're going to be adding a lot more. So like Asana, Notion, bunch of other stuff coming. In the meantime, we also have a full-fledged API with webhooks that I encourage you guys to check out. We also have a Zapier integration, which is really cool, works really well. So if you have any questions with the API or any requests, definitely let me know. Okay, that is like super high level of the things I wanted to cover. So I'm gonna now go back into those questions and just quickly review those. If anyone has any more questions, just drop them in the chat and I will kind of get through them right now. And so I'm just gonna be responding to make sure I don't miss anything. So, yep, I think we responded to this. So this, we were good. I think we were able to do this one as well. Oops. Where's the Q&A? Okay. Let me see. PTO we got, auto tracking. What happens to your data if a category project is deleted? So if you delete a category, everything that's already been categorized by that will just stay as that category, but that category won't be used for categorization moving forward. You can always unarchive a category as well. If you delete a project, all of the time entries associated with that project will also be deleted. So let me know if you have any more questions about that, Julius. Patrick asked around billable hours. Can I set the rate per hour? Yes. So with billing for client work, you can either set it on the client here, that hourly rate, or you can set it on the team member here by this hourly rate. And then Rize will pull whichever one. In-person meetings, we covered that. Profitability dashboard, that's coming soon. I'm so excited to get that out. Yeah, I think you'll really like that, Samantha. Microsoft is definitely also on the way. So Jared asked around, is it possible to turn off billable hours if it doesn't apply to us? Not right now, but that is coming. Yeah, we have some plans to rework these workspaces where you can basically enable billing or disable billing. And if it's disabled, then we won't show that billable timer, and billable hours, billable time won't show up. So that's coming soon. Clint asked around ClickUp. If there's a ClickUp time track directly within ClickUp at the task, how does Rize handle its tracking while there's a ClickUp task? So if once you integrate with Rize and ClickUp, if you were to start create a time entry in ClickUp, it will sync into Rize and create that time entry in Rize, just the same as if you create the time entry in Rize with the task and sync it to ClickUp. So there's a full two-way sync. What we do right now is if there's a time, basically each time entry, like one of these that has a ClickUp task is associated with a ClickUp time entry. And so if we can't find that time entry, like you created a ClickUp, we'll create a new time entry here. If we find it, we will update it. So like if I was to create a time entry, link it to a ClickUp task, that ClickUp task creates the time entry in ClickUp. If I edit that time entry, we will edit this. It will update the time entry in Rize. But if I'm just in ClickUp and create a new time entry, it's gonna sync back basically as a new time entry in Rize. Let me know if that answers your question. There's no way to merge projects right now, Samantha, but that's definitely something that we want to get to. So I'll keep you posted on that. Pricing, yeah, this is a great question. So the way that pricing works is Rize is priced at a per seat basis. So when you go to settings, you have team members. When you add a team member, we also basically add them to your billing org. So if you go to settings billing, you can see your billing org here. And the way that billing works is these essentially are accepted members you can see that they have a shield if they're an admin or just a person signed if they're a member. You can update their role or remove them here. You pay for active seats on your billing cycle. So it's either monthly or annual. Each of these members, they can be, once they're accepted, they can be added to as many Rize workspaces as possible. You'll never get double charged. You just pay for basically one person, one seat per org. So you never get any double charge there. And the way that billing works is you buy the seats essentially. So if I buy pay for 5 users for the month, I have those 5 active seats open. I can remove someone, and I don't get a refund, but I get an open seat that I can add a new email. If I add an additional email, let's say halfway through the month, I'll only be charged for 50% of that month, and I'll be bumped up to, let's say, 6 seats. And then if I remove 2, I'll have 2 open seats until the end of the month. When it renews, I'll be back at 4. So that's how things work. If you remove a member from a team, it doesn't remove them from the billing automatically. So make sure you go there and remove them there. There is not an iPad. Again, mobile and iPad, we'd love to do that. It's just, a lot of work, but we really want to get that. If I manually add a focus entry under the sessions column between 2 sessions, this, you mean like by clicking here, right? Yeah, that's not a bug right now, Jared, but I could see how that, I could see how that could be annoying. I'll take that to the product team. So thanks for that feedback. So splitting time entry suggestions. That's a really good question. So basically, if you choose to split it, Rize AI will do its best to take that one block and try and use the AI to break it into smaller chunks. Admittedly, we need to get better at this. The AI doesn't always split it, but that's how it should work. Is like if you get an hour chunk, but you actually want it, you realize you were working on 3 different tasks in that time, you can click it, try and split it, and you should get smaller time entry suggestions. Billable hours. Okay, so if we have fixed rate projects, monthly retainers rather than hourly billing, this is exactly what we're working on right now. We're building retainers and one-off clients Lex. So we should have like a beta of this to release next week. It's gonna be super cool. You'll be able to set monthly retainers for clients. You can choose like, yeah, add one-off increments for projects or clients too. And then you'll see full profitability there. You'll see like utilization and true hourly rate. So Lex, that is coming. Okay, Samantha, that might be a bug then. If you just want to drop us a message in the support chat. That's one other thing, guys. So we do have a support chat here in the bottom right. It's an AI chat. We just launched this. It's not perfect. If you just say talk to a human, we see all of them anyway. So, but you can also just say talk to a human. You can also always email me at mcgill@rize.io or support@rize.io if you want it to go to the whole team. We will get back to you as soon as possible. Julius asked about lifetime subscription owners with pricing. That's a great question. So we love AppSumo, and we haven't been on there for a few years, but it was really important when we first built the product. So how does it work with lifetime members? We will always respect AppSumo lifetime subscriptions. How it works at a team level is your seat will always be paid for. So if you add another seat, you'll see that it will say like 1 of 1, but you'll have 2 members there. So anyone with a lifetime subscription, your seat's already paid for in the org, but as you add more, you'll have to pay for those. Awesome. Does anybody have any other questions? Yeah, really appreciate like all the questions, all the feedback. We know that the app is not perfect right now. And I hope you know that we're working really hard to make things better. We have like, yeah, we love hearing feedback from you guys because it's so helpful. And we're working honestly every day to just make it better. We find the bugs and we fix them or find ways we can improve things. So please like keep it coming. It means a lot to us. Okay, Jared asks, at a high level, can you explain the difference between activity and time entries? When manually adding times, what do you suggest I use? Yeah, that's a really good question. And admittedly, there's I would say we need to do a better job of explaining this. So your activity is your far left, in the far left. The activity is your raw tracked data. Like you can see my activity is just this big block of time. It's the apps and websites I was using. That is like basically when I'm active on the computer. It's almost like screen time. Time entries and time entry suggestions, that's like specific work output that I've worked on a specific client, project, or task. It's more readable. It's more what you would share. So you can see like this big activity block that says productivity, it actually breaks up into like 4 or 5 or more different time entries, each one which can have a client, project, or task. So when you're manually adding time right now, this is the way I go about it. It's a little bit, it's not ideal, but this is what I would say. I'd say manually add the time in the activity column by dragging and dropping, selecting add override, select the category or the best one that fits, right? Once you do that, here, I'll show you. So if I was to click add override, I'm going to say, let's say I was coding, right? Once I do that, right, I will create an activity block and maybe a focus session. And then from there, I can create a suggestion, which is a time entry. Sorry, we just upgraded to GPT-5. So this is not like, this will be kind of random. And then you can basically tweak things here. Another option, if that's how I would really recommend going with it now, but I know it's multiple steps. Another option is you can just, click add time entry. That might be easier because like with the AI suggestions won't be super valid. So if you just want to add time for work hours, right, you can add just the activity, but I generally would recommend adding a time entry for each of them as well. So drag and drop an activity. Then once that's created, just click add time entry and actually enter what you were working on. I know that's not perfect right now. We're working on some better ways, but let me know if you have any more questions about that. Um, Andrew asks, I'm currently generating weekly and monthly summary reports manually from Rize. Are there plans to add automated reports? 100%. And Andrew, if you could drop me an email, I would love to. Yeah, we're working on this right now. We want to do this in the workspace level so you can get daily workspace like updates, also automatic monthly PDF exports weekly. So yeah, definitely just shoot me an email there. I'd love to like learn a little bit more about that because that'd be really helpful. Um, yeah, thank you so much, Michael. Yeah, we're really we try to be really focused on customers, and we want to be transparent. We're just a small team trying to build a great product, and so really appreciate all the feedback here. Samantha asked around any tips on the new instructions. This honestly, we'll follow up on this. Like, yeah, I this basically these instructions. So just for context, everybody, we did add this ability where you can now add some custom prompts when you're creating project suggestions. So these we need to do better guidance here, and I think we're going to have defaults here. But basically, this is imagine you're talking to someone who has to review your time entry suggestions, and you want to tell them how to best associate time entry suggestions with a client project or task. Essentially, these prompts are like hints to them. So things you could say here for project suggestions is like when I'm in Slack, right? I'm probably working on this project, right? Or when you see this, it probably means this. They're more like hints that we can pass the AI to say like, you know, that sort of thing. The other one is around how you want like activity summaries. So yeah, you could say like, yeah, like that's a great one. Summaries should clearly describe the work performed. Exactly, like that it'll give it tips to the AI on how to do that. Adding rules like never reference AI tools unless the project is that's a really good one, actually, Samantha. Little tips like that because we want to make this the most customizable and accurate. We know that everybody tracks and records time differently. We admittedly we just released this today, so we're getting feedback on this and we want to make sure it's better. So try some stuff and we'll be trying some stuff and we can make sure it improves. Okay. So Jared asked, thanks for the tidbit on manual entries. Following up that, was the best way to add a project? Do they sync with activity time entries or a project independent? So your best way to add a project is well, projects exist in a workspace and they can be tagged to time entries. So your activity is like your raw activity that generates time entry suggestions, which can be added, which you can tag time towards projects, right? So um, you can create a project in a few ways. Basically, let's say I'm just going to create a time entry to show the case in point. Sorry, things are okay. So this is my time entry suggestion for the meeting, right? You can see down here, it has client project or task tags. These are quick tags. It's meant to be used really quickly. But if I go to the review time entry inbox, or if I was to just like manually add a time entry, I get a more in-depth view here. And I can go to the project tab and click create new project. I choose the workspace in the top left, give the name, assign it a client, and then hit save. Once I do that, the projects are going to be listed here, right? Again, with projects, for each project, you can associate keywords with it, which are like URLs, abbreviations, the name of the project. That's just going to be hints to the AI that you were working on that project. And so with those keywords, they will improve whether these time entry suggestions come with associated projects already tagged on them or as these suggestions there. So yeah, let me know if that makes sense, Jared. They're really, so projects basically can be assigned to time entries and then you can see time values for those. And then they get associated with time entries via those keywords or, through the AI. Thank you so much, Samantha. I'm really glad you've been enjoying it. We love you too. And yeah, thank you for just being using Rize for so long and being so supportive. It means a lot to us. Um, yes. So I have a personal workspace. Honestly, I don't use it. I really just track time for Rize because that's really all I work on. I wouldn't, yeah, you can use it for more personal stuff. What happens is when we created the workspaces, we wanted to make sure that there was an easy way to, have personal workspaces for those that wanted them. But yeah, it's great if you want to track like side projects or things unconnected to work. That's sort of, so you can always create a new workspace for whatever topic there. All right, so yeah, we have 4 more minutes. If anybody has any other questions, feel free to drop them. I just want to take a second now before this ends to, yeah, really, really thank you all so much again for using Rise. This is being recorded, and so I'm gonna upload this to YouTube and add it to the changelog. But yeah, again, we're so grateful for all of you guys using Rise and showing up today. And we have, yeah, a bunch of really, really cool improvements planned. So thank you all so much again. Thank you. Yeah. And so I guess we have 3 minutes. And so Lex just said thanks, and she was asking about profitability. I will say, maybe I'll give some hints about what's next. So the next few months for us, I mean, this is always open to change because we're always getting feedback from you all. But I'll say we want to make sure we know value in Rise is the auto tracking. We want to just get better and better and better auto tracking. We just updated all of our models to GPT-5, and so I think you're going to see a massive improvement in the like the descriptions and the suggestions. They're a lot better, but we want to even get better at those. The other things that we're going to be working on is that client retainers, profitability, kind of setting it up so it's even easy, more automated when you're tracking as a team or an agency. Um, and the other big area that we want to be working on is more integrations. So like Notion, Asana, Monday, Jira, Microsoft, like tasks. Those are all definitely on the roadmap. So yeah, if you have input, please. We sent out an email today with a product feedback form that has it's a Google form with a few questions, and would love to hear from you guys. But yeah, lots of super exciting stuff in the works. We're just getting started. Thank you so much, Glenn. Thank you, Rabab. Really, really appreciate everybody joining. So Scott mentioned the description come from the calendar event. What if it's just me doing web browsing? It's actually going to do both. So it'll basically kind of pull that both from your activity and from the calendar event. If it's just you web browsing, it will probably say that. Again, you can add some more description, like you can add some more guidance for those time entries in the custom instructions for activity summaries. But yeah, uh, let me know if that answers your question, Scott. Yeah, of course, Julius. Thanks so much. All right. Well, I'm gonna probably start winding this down. We got like just a minute left, but if anyone has any last questions, thank you so much. Thanks for using Rise, and yeah, so excited about all the stuff that we have coming in the works. So stay tuned. Yeah. Um, Samantha said she uses remote desktop for some activities. Oh, so yeah, and which blurs tracking. Oh, one thing, if you use a remote desktop, Samantha, you can actually install Rise on the remote desktop as well. So it's tracking in both places. And yeah, basically what you can do is in settings for the app. Oh, you can't. Okay. Well, if you can't, then, but if for a lot of people, if they do use remote, you can install it on the remote and track in both places, which is kind of cool because Rise works across as many, um, yeah, apps and websites as possible. So Habib asked about when we can get a widget. Do you mean like the desktop widget? Because that should be available now. We do have the little desktop widget. If you're asking about something else, definitely shoot me an email and we can chat about it there. But yeah, we're wrapping down, and I'll take one last question from Tim. Uh, oh, awesome. Yeah, Tim just mentioned that the sync works for both. Um, well, thank you so much. Really appreciate it. And yeah, I'm gonna shut down the camera now. But thanks for using Rize, everybody. Have a great day or evening wherever you are in the world. Bye.